the dogs are having a fit for some reason. So if there's barking in the background, don't worry. Let's see. Are there any questions, Drew? Mary Jane, take a look and see if there are any questions. Hang on, guys.
How do you plug the hole?
How do I plug the hole? Okay. He's talking about is the hole at the bottom of the bowl. Let me get it here. I'll step off the camera. Here we go. There's a hole here where you have to bolt this to the ringmaster to cut the rings, and it also serves as the mount when you turn the bowl. It's a standard 1/2 inch hole, and so you just get a 1/2 inch plug cutter and plug it. It's easy to sand on this side because that's the outside of the bowl, and it's exceedingly hard to sand on the inside because that's the inside of the bowl, and that's where you need this magic little violin playing, okay? Okay. See how that works? These things are worth their weight in gold or brass. Anyway, but that's what you do. Is just an ordinary plug cutter.
That also tells us we can get small bits of sand from an aquarium shop.
Oh, what?
Small bits of sand from an aquarium shop.
Okay, I've had somebody write in and say that they can get small bits of sand from an aquarium shop. It's got to be small sand. It can't be that. It can't be that big gravel, aquarium gravel. It's got to be a grit that is 60 or less. So I still prefer the sandpaper, folks. I know what I'm getting. Any others? No? Okay. Let's talk about thicknessing with the conical disc. Thickness sanding is a necessary procedure when you've got figured woods. This right here is a piece of a walnut crotch, highly figured. Once this is sanded down, this is going to be absolutely beautiful, but you would not want to throw this through the planer. The grain pattern here, well, it goes in waves through this, so that as you're cutting, first you're cutting end grain and then long grain, you're cutting uphill and then downhill. You have all sorts of problems when trying to actually cut something like this on a planer to thickness. The knives will tear it out. Same way with something like this. This is curly maple. Well, actually, this is curly bird's eye maple. Beautiful piece of wood, but it has to be sanded, abraded to the proper thickness rather than planed. And to do that, you need a thickness sander. And of course, those cost thousands of dollars, unless, of course, you have a Shopsmith Mark V, and then all you need is a conical disc. The conical disc is a cone, and the cone can be arranged to make contact with the wood along a line that is parallel to the surface. The disc is tilted, or the slope of the disc is 4 degrees, so as long as you tilt the wood at 4 degrees, as you pass the wood under the disc, as we've got it set up here, you'll be sanding off wood along a line extending out from the axis of rotation towards the front of the table. As long as the tilt of the wood matches the slope of the cone, you're sanding the wood perfectly parallel. Now, in order to do this, you need a jig. And that's what I've got to show you right here. All right, this jig, and I'll put it end on so you can see it. It actually consists of two pieces. This board here is just simply the sled, and then you've got the holding surface, and this is tilted at 5 degrees. In other words, there's a 5-degree slope down this way. Why 5 degrees? Okay, especially since the slope of the cone is 4 degrees. Well, if we made this to 4 degrees and hoped that it came out right, we probably would find that we were a tenth or a sixth or a something of a degree off. As a matter of fact, we built this to 5 degrees and it came out to be 5.9, almost a whole degree off. So the problem, if you can adjust for that, of course, simply by tilting the table. But we wanted to be able to tilt the table forward, that is, towards you as you're looking at me. If you have to tilt it backwards, for example, if we had tried to build this at 4 degrees and got 3.9 instead of 5.9, we would have to tilt it back 1/10 of a degree. And in order to do that, I'd have to take the stops, the bolts that serve as the 90-degree stops, out of the back here and then reset them after the procedure. Something I really don't want to do. So in this case, I built it a degree forward, knowing then that I would have a degree to work with one way or the other. And in this case, we had to tilt it 1.9 degrees forward in order to make the wood parallel to the sanding disc. Now, in addition to that, the sled has on the back of it a miter bar. Okay, the miter bar rides in the T slot in the Mark V table and keeps everything aligned, going through straight. The table itself is coated with sandpaper to keep the wood from slipping, except right here in this area where we have a line of holes where we can put a dowel. Okay, the dowel goes in there, and then when we put the wood in, okay, I can put a wedge in between the dowel and the wood to lock it in place. Now, in addition to that, we have a ridge that goes around two sides of the table. This ridge is about 1/4 of an inch high, and the action of the sander pushes the wood against both the back and the side ridges. This wedge lock is actually just sort of a backup. The wood stays in this pretty well. Now, if you can see here, I'm going to do a piece of blistered maple. Look at the curl on that. It is just absolutely gorgeous, as you can see. Wouldn't want to put that through the planer. I'm going to put this in here. Now, this board is about 6 inches wide. My sanding disc, the sandpaper on the sanding disc is 4 inches wide. If you look at this, you have about 4 inches there to sand with from your inner diameter to your outer diameter. You can sand boards up to 8 inches wide simply by sanding one side of the board and turning it over, or turning it around and sanding the other. I'll show you how here. Now, you'll also notice that in addition to the jig, I have a sanding pickup over here. The action of the sanding disc throws sawdust off the sanding wheel at an angle, and this actually picks up about 90% of the sawdust that is generated. Now I'm going to have to set the disc first, so I'm going to bring this in underneath here, bring this down so it just touches the sandpaper. Incidentally, this is at this point, this is also the way that you would adjust the tilt of your table. You would put in a board that you've already planed, okay? Look down and see if you can see daylight, okay? If you've got a wedge of light coming through underneath the disc, then obviously the tilt of the table has to be adjusted. You need to adjust the table so that it is making contact with the wood all across the surface. Now, you can't, when you actually get to the sanding, however, you've got to make sure that you're not taking off too much. You can never take off more than the size of the grit. I have this sanding disc loaded with the coarsest grit we have, and I'm finding that I can only take off between a 64th and a 32nd of the wood at any one pass. Let me turn this on. Now notice that I'm holding this down right now. If I let this up, see it tilts? See that? And that would sand that corner a little deeper than I want to sand it. But let me turn this around and get the other side. Wheels, there we go. So there's the, now at this point, I'm going to set the depth stop, not because I need to control the depth here, but because I want to see how far I need to advance the quill in order for the next one. As I said, I'm doing about a third, or about somewhere between a 32nd and a 64th each time I adjust this. And that's the space between the markings there is 1/16 of an inch. So at the most, I can go 1/3 of a space. I have to make 3 passes for each 1/16 of an inch that I remove with this particular grit. If I'm working with finer grit, I'd have to do much smaller or shallower passes than that. Always get it right, folks. I must have missed my mark here. Yeah, I did. Bring that down. Try it again. this board, not only don't I have any tear out, I don't have any ridge between where I flip the board around. There's no ridge here whatsoever. It's that which means that I'm sanding perfectly flat. One of the things you want to do if having the edge parallel is paramount to you, in addition to sighting and seeing whether you can see daylight between a planed board and the edge of the cone, you can also put a board in and do a test piece, and then with a micrometer mic the edge of this. I'm getting 3.29 on this edge, and then mic the opposite edge, okay, and I'm getting 333, so it's 0.4 off, and then adjust the tilt of the table accordingly until I get this absolutely perfectly flat. In addition to doing thickness sanding, you can also make your own veneer. The trick is, though, you have to glue the veneer to the backing board before you make the veneer into veneer. This is a piece of walnut crotch, a flame burl that Drew resawed at about 1/8 of an inch. And the resawing is okay, but it's fairly uneven here. And what we need to do is take this down until where it's perfectly flat. Yes? Okay. I'm going to put this in the jig. Now we'll have to set the sander. Incidentally, if you're wondering what speed to run this on, I'm at about E right now. I usually run it between D and E for this operation with the coarse sanding grit. As you get finer grits, you'll find that you can move up, maybe as far as G or H. You actually have to balance the speed to the wood. The speed of the sander and the quality of the surface that you're after will and of course the feed at which you're speeding the wood all work together. Some woods like cherry, soft maple will burn in a heartbeat, and you'll have to find just the right speed, just the right feed speed, and just the right rotational speed to get what you the effect that you want without the burning. Other woods will give you a much wider range. So let's like this walnut. This has a good wide range. I'd stop there and show you. You can see here. This is the ridge. This is how much of the wood I'm taking off. Now this ridge would go away, of course, so I turned it over and sanded the other side. You also saw that it removes stock from here and here. It's still low right here in this area, but there is no tear out. We're gonna save this and be able to use that for a beautiful panel in something that we will build here later on. Don't know what yet, but you know, like all woodworkers, I have a dominant pack rat gene, and I just can't throw this away. So that's how you do thicknessing without having to buy a $1,000 thickness sander.